They didn't even let the lawyer speak. She gets nothing, Dad hated her. That's what my sister Lisa said as soon as I walked into the room. No hello, no eye contact, just that cold sentence, loud enough for everyone to hear, like she wanted it to sting. The words hit me like a punch in the chest. I held my son Eli's hand tighter, his small fingers squeezed mine back, shaking a little. I tried to smile at him, weak and forced, but he could tell, he always could. I hadn't even sat down yet, but the message was clear, I wasn't welcome, I wasn't part of the family, I was just someone they wanted to forget. Lisa sat at the head of the table in a sharp gray suit, her dark hair pulled back in a tight bun, and her bright red lipstick was like a warning sign. She always dressed like this when she wanted to feel powerful. Then came the voice I dreaded more, Uncle Rick. Dad's older brother laughed dryly and leaned back in his chair, looking smug. Even her kid knows she's worthless, he said, nodding at Eli like he wasn't even a person. Eli looked down at the floor. My heart broke a little more. All around the room, people nodded, cousins, old neighbors, family friends I hadn't seen in years, they had all picked a side, and it wasn't mine. I swallowed hard, my throat felt dry, the room smelled like dust, leather, and Lisa's heavy perfume. I could hear my heartbeat in my ears, fast, hot, and full of shame. I led Eli to a seat at the far end of the long table, far away from the others. The chair creaked when I sat. Eli climbed into the seat next to me, his legs swinging, hands in his lap like he wanted to disappear. Lisa looked at me slowly, and when our eyes met, she gave a cold, fake smile. You know this is pointless, right? She said, her voice calm but mean. Dad changed the will. You're out. He said you were dead to him. I didn't answer. I couldn't. My mouth felt heavy. I just nodded a little, but inside, I was asking myself, why did I come? I thought maybe there'd be something, a note, a word, a sign that Dad remembered me, something that made it all make sense. But instead, I was back in the place I swore I'd never return to, with people who had erased me a long time ago. I was about to leave, before they started fighting over Dad's things like vultures, when the door creaked open. Mr. Connor, my father's lawyer, walked in holding a thick folder. He looked the same, neatly dressed, tired eyes, and a serious face. Everyone got quiet and sat up straight. This was it. I prepared myself to hear nothing. I expected to walk out with nothing. But I was wrong. Because no one in that room, not Lisa, not Rick, not even me, knew what Eli had brought. He spoke in a small, clear voice. You forgot the video. He had recorded it. It had been 8 years since I sat in a room like this with my family, 8 years since I packed our things, took Eli, just 2 years old, and left. Not because I wanted to, because I had to. Every talk with my dad ended in yelling or cold silence. Every family gathering felt like walking on broken glass while pretending to smile. But now, I was back in a room that still smelled like cigars and old anger. Funny thing? I didn't even know I was invited to the will reading. The envelope showed up 3 days after the funeral. No note, just a time, date, and address in Mr. Connor's handwriting. I thought maybe it was a mistake, maybe they meant to send it to my brother Ken. Or maybe it was a cruel joke. But Eli wanted to go. He looked up at me with calm eyes and said quietly, "We should go, Mom, maybe there's something you need to hear." I don't know how a 10-year-old can be so wise, but he is. Sometimes, I think he sees things more clearly than most adults ever will. So, we came. I wore the same plain black dress I wore to my mom's funeral. Eli wore a little button-up shirt he chose himself. That morning, I braided his hair with shaking hands. He looked at me and said I looked beautiful. He didn't know I hadn't slept, that I was scared to walk into a room full of people who'd treated me like I didn't exist for almost 10 years. I knew what they thought of me. Lisa, the perfect daughter, she stayed, she helped, she made sure everyone saw her helping. She told the story again and again until everyone believed it. Julia left the family. Julia couldn't handle life. Julia ran away. No one ever asked why I left. They didn't know, or didn't care, that Dad had stopped talking to me. I had left a marriage that was breaking me. I couldn't stay in it any longer. When I showed up at Dad's house with Eli in just a suitcase, he didn't say a word, he just closed the door in my face. The man who was supposed to protect me had become another person I had to fight against. Uncle Rick didn't make things better, he just repeated Dad's harsh beliefs. Family never gives up. Blood means loyalty. Don't come back crying. And Lisa, she believed every word. She turned it into her own story to use against me. So I stopped trying. I made a quiet life for Eli and me. We didn't have a lot, but we had peace, we had love, we had laughter. Still, part of me held on to a small, fragile hope that maybe, in the end, Dad had changed, that he had felt sorry, that he had left something, anything, for me. Maybe that's why I opened the envelope, why I came to the will reading. But sitting there, surrounded by cold stares and smug smiles, I felt stupid for hoping. Eli hadn't said a word. He sat still, hands folded in his lap, looking around the room carefully. His calm made me a little nervous, like he was waiting for something. Then Mr. Connor, the lawyer, cleared his throat and opened the folder. I leaned back and quietly told myself, just get through this, don't let them see you break. But Eli, he was holding on to more than just sadness. And before this was over, he would show everyone that he had been the only one truly listening to my father. Mr. Connor cleared his throat again, the way lawyers do when they want the room to pay attention. He adjusted his glasses, opened the folder, and started reading like it was just another normal day. The first few lines didn't matter, just legal terms and names. My mind wasn't on the words, I was bracing myself for what I knew was coming. He wouldn't say my name, I was sure. Still, every time he paused to flip a page, I held my breath, hoping just a little. Maybe, just maybe, he'd surprise me. But he didn't. He read the usual names. To my daughter Lisa, I leave the house and everything in it. Lisa didn't react, but I could feel her pride from across the room. She looked at her husband, Neil, and he gave her a little nod like they were already planning what to do with it. To my brother Rick, the lake house and the rest of the family business. Rick leaned back, looking proud, like he'd just been crowned king. He stuck his cigar between his teeth and gave a slow, satisfied bite. To Paul, my nephew, the collection of old cars. Paul, the cousin who once locked me out of my room when I was 9, just to make me cry, that Paul. I bit the inside of my cheek to keep my face from showing anything. The tears were there, hot and waiting, but I didn't let them fall. Still no mention of me, not a word. Then came the line I feared. And as declared earlier, my daughter Julia will receive nothing from this estate. That was it. Short, final, like a door slamming shut. I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach. Eli's fingers slipped into mine under the table. I hadn't even noticed I was gripping my hands so tight. His touch pulled me back. My heart was pounding, my face felt like it was burning. And then came the quiet whispers. Lisa gave a soft laugh. Told you, she said to Neil. Uncle Rick shook his head, pretending to be disappointed. Some people walk away from their own fathers, he said loud enough for everyone to hear. The others didn't speak, but their silence said enough. I stared at the table, watching the patterns in the wood. It was easier than looking at their faces. I heard my own voice inside my head, flat and full of pain. Why did I come? Why did I think he would remember me? Then Eli moved. He let go of my hand and sat up straight. I could feel the change before I saw it. His voice was quiet but strong. You forgot the video he recorded. The whole room went still. Lisa blinked. Rick turned. Mr. Connor stopped, pen still in the air. I looked at Eli, confused. What video? I whispered. But Eli wasn't looking at me. He stared ahead, calm and sure. Then he reached into his backpack and pulled out a small white envelope. It was a bit wrinkled, but sealed tight. My name was written on the front, but under it, in bold, sharp writing, were the words. For the lawyer, only if it gets ugly. I didn't understand, but Eli did. And for the first time all day, the mood in the room shifted. I stared at the envelope in Eli's hands like it was glowing. He held it so gently, like it wasn't the most powerful thing in the room. But I couldn't stop looking at the handwriting, bold and familiar. My father's. For the lawyer, only if it gets ugly. Well, it had definitely gotten ugly. My voice came out shaky. Eli, where did you get that? He looked up at me with calm, kind eyes. Grandpa gave it to me, he said softly. He told me to keep it safe. My heart stopped for a second. He gave it to you? Eli nodded. Yeah, the day we visited him, just me and him. You were at work. I blinked, trying to remember. That day came back to me. Eli had asked if he could go with our neighbor to drop something off at Dad's. It was the first time I let him go alone. I had no idea they even talked. Now, Mr. Connor reached out across the table. May I? He asked softly. Eli handed him the envelope without any hesitation. Everyone in the room leaned in. Lisa squinted like she couldn't believe what she was seeing. Rick sat up straighter, no longer relaxed. For once, nobody had anything to say. The envelope made a soft tearing sound as Mr. Connor opened it. Inside was a small black USB drive. It looked plain, nothing special. But my heart started racing like it might explode. Connor pulled out a note too, written in my father's handwriting. He read it silently, and something in his face changed. Not much, but I noticed it. His calm expression slipped just a little. He didn't speak right away. He nodded slowly, Like something important had been confirmed. "Everyone," he said, his voice quieter. "This is a video message from Charles Thomas. It was recorded before his final will. He left instructions for it to be played only if things got ugly." He looked at Lisa, then Rick. They shifted in their seats. Lisa scoffed. "This is ridiculous. He never said anything about a video." Rick leaned forward, his voice firmer. "We don't even know what's on that. Could be fake." Connor raised his hand. "It's time-stamped, verified. I recognize the handwriting and signature, and by his instructions, I'm required to play it." He plugged the USB into a black laptop on the desk beside him. The screen lit up with one word, "Play." The room went still. No one moved. No one spoke. I felt my heart pounding in my fingertips. I held onto the arms of my chair like I might float away if I let go. My breathing was shallow and shaky. Why would Dad leave a video? Why did Eli have it? What could he possibly want to say now, after everything? Eli didn't look nervous. He just watched the screen, calm, like he already knew what was coming. Lisa looked pale. Rick wasn't chewing his cigar anymore. I wanted to run. I wanted to cry. I wanted to scream. But more than anything, I needed to know. "Mr." Connor hit the spacebar. The screen flickered, then went black for a moment. And then there he was. My father. He looked older, thinner. He was sitting at his desk, wearing that navy sweater I gave him for his last birthday, the one I didn't think he ever wore. His hands were folded, his face wasn't cold, just tired. He looked straight at the camera. Then he started to speak. I didn't breathe. Not when the screen lit up. Not when I saw his face. Not when he said the first two words. "Hi, Julia." He looked older than I remembered. His skin was thinner, his posture had softened. But it was still him, my dad, sitting at his old desk, with the globe behind him, just like when we were kids. This time, he didn't look angry or distant. He looked human. "If you're watching this," he said, "I'm gone, and I guess the will reading didn't go well." His fingers twitched a little, something I do too. "I didn't expect peace between you and the family. I know what they think of you, and I know what I said about you." He looked down, swallowed hard. "And I was wrong." I stopped breathing. My nails dug into the armrest of my chair. Eli glanced at me, but I couldn't look away. "I believed Lisa. I believed Rick. I thought you left because you didn't care. I didn't ask. I didn't listen, not once. You tried, and I shut the door in your face, you and Eli." I heard Lisa shift in her seat, quick and uneasy. I didn't look at her. I couldn't. Dad's voice cracked, just a little. "I thought being strong meant being proud, that if you walked away, it was betrayal. But real strength is showing up, protecting your child, and you did that. You did what I couldn't." His eyes were wet, so were mine. "I met Eli one day when he came by, just the two of us. That kid. He didn't say much, but when I asked about you, he said, 'My mom is the safest place in the world.'" My hand flew to my mouth. "I lost you, Julia. I see that now. I lost my daughter because I couldn't stop being right long enough to love you how you needed. But I won't let my last act be shutting you out again." He cleared his throat, looked straight at the camera. "So I changed the will." The room gasped, a chair creaked. "Rick's, probably." Lisa muttered something, but I couldn't hear it. All I could hear was my dad's voice. "I've left the house to you and Eli, the savings, the retirement fund, it's yours, and there's a college trust for Eli too. I know it doesn't fix everything, but I want you to have peace, the peace I never gave you while I was alive." He paused, then leaned a little closer to the camera. "If they're angry, let them be angry. You earned this. You made it through everything, and never stopped being a mom. That's more than I ever did." A lump rose in my throat. I couldn't breathe around it. "I'm proud of you, and I love you, Julia. I always did. I just didn't know how to show it." Then, just before the screen went black, he added quietly, "Take care of my grandson, tell him thank you." The video ended. No music, no fade out, just silence. Total, still, honest silence. Chairs creaked, someone sniffed. But I didn't move. I sat there with my hand over my mouth, tears running down my face. And for the first time in years, something heavy inside me lifted. After all the blame, all the silence, all the hurt. He heard me. He finally heard me. And in that silence, no one could take that away. Not Lisa. Not Rick. Not the cousins. Not the friends who always looked away. Even Mr. Connor didn't move. His hand hovered over the mouse, frozen, like pausing the video had frozen time too, and maybe, in a way, it had. I don't know how long I sat there. My hand was still over my mouth, my cheeks were wet, But I hadn't even noticed the tears, until I felt Eli's small hand slip into mine. He wasn't crying. He just looked up at me with a quiet smile, like he'd been waiting for this moment, waiting for the truth to finally be spoken. I leaned down and kissed the top of his head. My chest hurt, full of too many feelings at once, love, relief, grief, all mixed together. Across the room, Lisa stood up fast, her chair made a loud screech on the floor. Her hands shook as she grabbed her bag and left without saying a word. Her husband followed behind her, face red, mumbling something I couldn't make out. Rick sat a little longer, his jaw was tight, he stared at nothing. Then he stood. He looked at Connor like he wanted to argue, but he didn't. He knew there was no point. Dad had spoken, his truth couldn't be ignored now. The others followed, slowly. Some didn't look at me, a few gave small nods, maybe out of pity, maybe respect, I wasn't sure. Soon, it was just the three of us left in the room. Connor gently closed the folder and cleared his throat. There will be some paperwork, he said softly, but everything is in order. I nodded, I didn't know what to say. He gave me a small, kind smile, and then left the room. The silence that followed wasn't the kind I had come to expect over the years. This silence felt calm, complete. Like something had finally found its place. I looked at Eli, still holding my hand, still looking at me like I was the strongest person he knew. Maybe in his eyes, I was. But really, he had saved me, carrying that envelope like it was no big deal, when it was actually the truth that changed everything. We stayed a little longer, I'm not sure why. Maybe I just needed time to breathe. Maybe I wanted to sit for a while in the one room where, for the first time in so long, I felt like I truly belonged. I kept hearing Dad's voice in my head. I'm proud of you. 3 words I never thought I'd hear. Words I needed more than I realized. I thought about everything I'd carried, the silence, the blame, the feeling of being erased. But now, I wasn't erased. I was seen, heard, remembered. I looked at Eli again. Thank you, I whispered. He tilted his head. For what? For being braver than me, I said. For holding on to something important. He smiled. I just wanted you to hear him. And I had. Not just in the video, but in the feeling that stayed after. In the quiet peace that filled the room when everyone else was gone. That's the thing about truth. It doesn't always show up when you want it to. But when it does, it changes everything. So no, I didn't walk out of that room feeling broken. I walked out holding my son's hand. With my father's words still echoing in my heart. I walked out whole. And that silence? It finally meant something. If this story touched something in you, if you've ever felt ignored, misunderstood, or like your voice didn't matter, please know this, you are not invisible. The truth might take time, but it will come. If this meant something to you, give the video a like, and share it with someone who needs to hear it too. These stories only reach the people who need them with your help. And if you want more real, emotional stories like this, don't forget to subscribe. There's so much more to say. Until next time, stay strong, stay kind, and remember, your voice matters.